Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is join. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we can use this verb. The first way the verb join is used is to mean to become linked or connected to. There are so many different ways we could mention that, but one that comes to mind and one that I've been doing a lot since the beginning of the pandemic is joining Zoom meetings or online meetings. Maybe you're using a different platform with your friends or with your coworkers or perhaps for class too. But many of these programs have a button and ask you to join the meeting or join the call. So that's what came to mind when I looked at that first part of the definition. A second way to use the verb join means to come together to form one group. So you might hear about people joining together to form a band. A third way to use the verb join is to become a member of an organization or club, or to become an employee at a company. A fourth way we can use the verb join is to mean to take part in an activity. We'll take a look at some connections to that with phrasal verbs in just a second. Join is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, all we need to do is add ing to form joining. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding ed. Because this verb ends with a voiced n or n sound, the ed is going to make a d sound. Joined, joined. Let's take a look now at some more ways we can use this verb join, but in the context of phrasal verbs. The first phrasal verb we'll look at is to join in something. And this connects back to that fourth definition we just looked at. So it means to take part in an activity. So after join in is used in a sentence, you're going to see a noun, an activity. It could be a gerund form of that, an ing form, but that's generally the structure here with join in. So here's an example sentence. They joined in the soccer game. There's our noun phrase coming after the phrasal verb. Another phrasal verb that's connected to this is to join in with somebody. And so what's slightly different about this is now we're going to name the person or people that someone is taking part in an activity with. So let's look at an example sentence. Will he join in with the other children? So perhaps for this sentence, maybe it's one parent talking to another. There's already a group of children playing together, and the first parent is asking the second, will your son join in with the other children? Another phrasal verb you might hear is join up. It means to work together to achieve something. Here's an example sentence that uses that phrasal verb. If we join up with the other team, maybe we'll figure out the solution. So this sentence could apply to teams of students in a class or in a course, but it could also maybe refer to teams of employees. And this idea, if we connect, if we link and work together, then maybe we'll get to the answer faster or quicker. The last phrasal verb we'll look at is join with, and it means to say or do something with someone else. Let's take a look at this phrasal verb in a sentence. Join with me in congratulating the newlyweds. So this might be a sentence you hear at a wedding or another celebration, and Perhaps somebody has just given a toast, right, where they're saying very nice things about the couple that has just been married. And so now perhaps they're going to ask to clink your glasses or clap or do something to congratulate the newly married couple. Let's continue practicing using join. Today we're going to look at how we make sentences that express a future possibility. So if you're a regular watcher of these videos, you know I practice sentences in the simple future using will and be going to pretty regularly. And we're using that those particular forms of the future to express our plans, our promises, offers, right? So things we're pretty confident that we believe will happen or that they are going to happen. So now with these, we're going to be a little less confident. Said another way, we are a little unsure. But a particular activity might be a possibility, or it may be a possibility, or it could be a possibility. So hopefully from that description, you're recognizing that there are 3 ways that we can express affirmative future possibility. That's with the modals may, might, and could. And these 3 words are really interchangeable in the affirmative. It doesn't really strengthen or weaken if we change from one to another. The nice thing about all 3 of these modals is in the affirmative, no matter what my subject is, I can use one of the modals, then the base verb, and that's it. I'm all set in conveying that idea. So let's take a look at 3 affirmative examples of future possibility using our verb join. The family may join the YMCA. So I think this was our 3rd definition about joining a club. This is maybe they want to swim and play basketball and take fitness classes. So they're considering that as an option. Here's another affirmative example. I might join in the card game later. So other people are already engaged in this activity. They're taking part in a card game. And I'm not certain, but maybe later. And a 3rd affirmative example. He could join the demonstration, right? Not certain, but it's a possibility. If I want to express a negative possibility, so something, now I'm leaning towards not so likely that a particular activity is going to happen, I can use the modal may or might. And after the modal, I'm going to use the word not and then the base verb. So you're going to notice here in the negative, I will not use could. It's just not going to have the same meaning. So here are 2 example sentences of future possibility. The city may not join with the state's reopening plans. This is a sentence I've heard as I've watched and read news. In many states, there's different decisions being made on the state level versus a local level about how to safely open schools, businesses, and other things as we still deal with this pandemic. Here's another negative example. We might not join you for dinner. Not committing to it. Okay? Now let's look at how we ask and answer questions about future possibility. So let's take a look at some of our examples. They should look familiar to you. Are you going to join the military? Will they join the Girl Scouts? Is she going to join Instagram? So all 3 of those sentences are in the simple future. So we're using that to ask questions about future possibility. So hopefully you've noticed be going to, right, in the first and the last example, and then will in our second example. You can use either one. But when you want to answer and not commit, so not make an official plan or not make a promise, right? Let's look at those. So someone says, are you going to join the military? You might say, I may, or I may not. Or you could say, I might, or I might not. Finally, you could say, I could, but not, I could not. Don't use that one. Okay? So, and I'll just point out here that it's very common to hear join used in describing someone who decides to serve in the military as a profession. Let's look at the second question. Will they join the Girl Scouts? If I want to answer in an affirmative way, they may, they might, they could, or I can say, no, they may not, or no, they might not. That's fine. And our last question, is she going to join Instagram? I'll point out that if you remember back to the first definition I gave you about join, I mentioned connecting and linking. So we see this word join a lot with social media, and that kind of makes sense, right? We're connecting with other beings, with other groups, and sometimes companies or organizations. So again, with this, you can say to answer affirmatively, yes, she may, or yes, she might, yes, she could. Or we can go the kind of negative route. She may not, she might not. Let's take a look now at some related words and phrases for our verb join. The first word we're going to look at is joiner. In the United States, this noun means a person who joins many organizations. So we think of this as someone who's really active and very engaged. So let's look at an example of that in a sentence. If you're not usually a joiner, this is a great way to try out the club. So this might be a pitch to try and attract new members to a particular organization. So they're saying, if you're not someone who likes to join new groups or new activities, come to this particular event to see. The next thing we're going to look at is sort of an informal phrase. I'm not sure if you've ever heard anybody say, join the club, but I'd be really curious. If you have, please make a comment below in the video and let me know if you've heard this before. The way you're going to hear it is in conversation. I don't think you're not likely to see this written. Perhaps, I guess, if you were reading a story and there's dialogue, so there's a conversation between two characters, you might see the phrase written down in that way. But this is probably not something you'll see regularly in newspaper articles or things of that nature. So this occurs in conversation, and somebody expresses one problem or feeling that they're having at that moment. And the second person is going to respond back with this phrase, join the club. And what it means is either the second person who speaks shares that same problem or that same feeling, or they might be speaking on behalf of many people who also share that same problem or the same feeling. Okay, so here's an example of that. Person one says, I'm so tired of working from home. Person two, join the club, right? And what they mean is everybody is sick of it, right? We all want to go back to normal and to our regular routines with work and social lives and families and whatnot. So thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.